anybody by name, but Alex, they came, right? So, so many people to thank, and I'm gonna really focus on the 20 years here. Thank you to all the former board members, community members, every single organization that helped 20 years ago make this, this place a reality. All of the former teachers who are here, former paraprofessionals, staff members, secretaries. It's an amazing, amazing event. Yes, when you say 20 years of anything, it makes you feel incredibly old, and this is the type of event that does. I also want to thank every single person here tonight for this showing of the documentary. But really I want to focus on, first and foremost, the young man sitting to my right. Everybody, this is his vision. As a senior, understanding that this idea, and this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to plan this, and this is how I'm going to get everybody together. Please understand that it's the person to my right that has allowed us all to see each other tonight, so thank you. Alex Pavljuk, to my right, he is a senior here. He is in the TV Academy. He is on to incredible things. A lot of stress, right? Yeah. So a lot of stress related to this exact night, but Alex, as they say, nothing ventured and nothing gained. The second thing I'll say is, and the last thing I'll say is when you get to be my age and many of our ages out there, you don't really come together until it's a wedding or a funeral. So thank you for bringing us all out for something that's not a wedding or a funeral. I'm going to turn it over to Alex.
Hi guys, I just want to say thank you all for coming. This has been a very, very special thing for me to be able to be a part of and be able to create. Just to reiterate, my name is Alex Pavljuk. I'm a senior here at the high school, and I shot, edited, directed, planned, pre-planned, archived, found everything for this documentary. This has been a passion project for me for the past 8 months now. I started it last year. I'd be lying if I said it was possible to be able to document every single thing that's happened in the past 20 years. So my goal and my vision for this, in realizing that, is that I really wanted to focus on the foundation of the high school and how we got here. From breaking away from Allentown and that first graduating class, I think are very important. I think it's something that we are all very much a part of to this day, whether you graduated 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or last year. It's very important to know where we came from, and I really, really believe that all of us, staff and students and community alike, can really see themselves in this documentary and feel the way that they felt way back when. So I want to just say thank you all for coming. It means the world, and this wouldn't be possible with every single person who walked through these halls. So thank you so much for coming, and I really do appreciate it.
Well, what happened was in 1995, the decision was made to build a middle school because of the growth of the town. And they built this building, which was the original middle school, in 95, 96. They built it with the idea of maybe someday the town would grow enough that they might have a high school. And a short 3 years later, they went out for another referendum to build a high school. actual idea came from the Board of Education at the time. Mr. Marinari was the president at that time, and Dr. Ware and Dr. McMahon, who was the assistant superintendent / BA. He was instrumental in making those decisions.
The move was primarily made so we could give a better education for our students. Not to say they weren't getting a good education in Allentown, but just to have it localized.
So I started September of '98. What I got to do was spend a whole year developing high school. What we did was we took the 8th grade class of 1999, which would have been the first graduating class of 2003. And in around April, we had a survey first of possible names, and there came down to 3 finalists. It was the Eagles, the Lions, and the Warriors. And the kids in that class at that very time, I give them a lot of credit. What they said was they didn't want any professional allegiances tearing each other apart. This was going to be their school, so it was going to be something that was not affiliated with anything else that they believed in. So they all became Warriors at that point in time in May of 1999.
The really cool thing is that we were the first of everything. So we didn't have any upperclassmen, so we had to start everything if we wanted it to continue in the high school.
But not a lot of people get to have that experience in high school, so it was pretty awesome.
So, people who wouldn't normally be in the play were in the plays and the musicals, and those same people were on the football field.
I think it was just being a small school, whatever we did, we were so close with each other that everything was fun. If we were in a play, that was fun because you got to hang out with your friends after school. If you played a sport, it was fun because you got to be with your friends after school. And then if our sports teams were good, it was just like a bonus.
We were I think we were a ragtag bunch. We were 80 or 90 kids. We did feel a certain sense of pride in being the only class at New Egypt High School at the time. Again, no upperclassmen. So I think we bonded together over that, but we still had growing pains like any teenager that age. But we somehow managed to field sports teams. The fact that we were able to do that and have clubs and have extracurriculars and then lead the classes as they came in below us is remarkable. And I think a tribute to the teachers and coaches and the people that we can emulate as mentors here at New Egypt.
The emphasis from day one was going to be give our kids something special. Give our kids a different experience in high school. It doesn't have to be what everyone was used to. One of the main ideas that came out of the whole idea of breaking away from Allentown was to give our kids more. So that first group, we really talked about what does that mean. And a lot of it was the relationships you would build between the adults and the students themselves.
The one thing I was really impressed with the students that first came to New Egypt was they were so self-motivated.
We were finding our way. The students were finding our way and everybody else was. We knew we had to kind of make a mark. Student leaders emerged. And student life was great. Because everything was new, the school spirit was there just instantaneously.
I feel because it was it was their school. Their brothers and sisters had gone to Allentown all those years and kind of got lost in the shuffle out there. When they had their own school, they really, if I'm going to remember correctly, and I know Mr. North would actually know a number, we had something like 88% of all kids were involved in some sport, activity, drama club, band or something. The kids were more involved.
The first year over there in the one hallway, it was as intimate as you could possibly imagine. I used to go down the hallway with a bullhorn for announcements. We had, I think, 90-some kids maybe in the class at that time, and I bet you 95% of them were participating in a sport because we told everybody, you have to be in something.
We knew every student knew each other, so we leaned on each other for a lot. It was a learning curve as far as setting up new programs and starting new sports and new clubs. So we worked on it together, and the students really embodied that family sense when they were here. This was their home.
Student life was different because they had to define themselves of who they were. And once we got to the first graduating class to be senior year, they were defined as the senior class. And this is our school, and this is what we're making it. They were fun. they cared a lot about our feelings as well as everybody else's around them. But the majority of was building this community and making traditions last.
We didn't have any upperclassmen above us, so it was insanely important that we had a good relationship with our teachers. And we got really lucky that we found great mentors and people to emulate in our teachers and coaches. And I think without that, none of us would have any success that we claim today.
Boy, the pride that we felt when that first graduating class walked, because the things that people had to do, the sacrifices made by the community, the sacrifices made by the township, and the planning and the pre-planning to create that high school. I feel the microcosm of all of that came with that first graduating class.
So 0203 was my first year, and one of the things I was impressed with was that you had athletes who were in the play, you had people that were in the band that were also playing in the football game on Friday night, and they would just take their shoulder pads off and go play an instrument in the band. And it was very much an entire family, an entire school. There wasn't really cliques of, okay, these are the band kids, these are the football players, these are, the art kids. Everybody was everything.
When it came to the second and third years, we had moved over here. Now it's, can you keep the same ideas? Well, one of the things that was very fortunate at the time to me was a lot of the students I had previously taught and coached went into education and were coming out.
Mr. North, Mr. Federici, the older teachers, they were mentors to us. They understood that we needed to understand, everything. This community, not only how to teach, but how to treat kids, and what really their mission was, make sure that every child is treated and taught and cared for like the next child coming in, the next child coming in.
The relationship was like a small family. This was our home away from home, so we spent all our time here during the day and during sports and activities, and then chose to spend extra time with each other when we weren't here too.
Because we were just all young and really motivated and kind of feeding off each other. So it was a great environment to work at when we first started.
It was unique because we were building something together. So not only did we become friends, we became family because we all had the same goal in mind, is to make this school successful and our students' life successful. So we had the same philosophy, and we were such a close-knit group that we had so much fun together, coming to work, working our football games, working wrestling matches, and it was just a happy environment that I would have to say was a culture that what we started with is what we put onto our students, and therefore our students acted the same way we did.
They're all hired young, early 20s, enthusiastic. The community kind of backed us really quickly, even though we were outsiders, and it was really a fun time.
It was definitely a different time in the early 2000s, also with the building of the school. So a lot of the foundational work through sports and different academic areas and building the platforms of how the school was going to run was fun to be a part of.
That first year when we had, that we went varsity, and when we had sophomores, we had 3 varsity sports, and field hockey won a division championship in the very first year that they ever went out. By junior year, we had varsity across the board in everything, and in some sports we were extremely successful right off the bat. Field hockey and softball, we were good from day one. Other sports, we've taken our lumps, and we've had to grow and develop and get the programs in places underneath us that we needed to do to get better. But I would say the most significant milestone, one of those ones where you said we're here, was in the fall of 2004 and in the spring of 2005, so it's the class of 2005. That group, they won a state championship in both field hockey and in softball. And for a school that had been only in existence at that time for 6 years, to have state champions in 2 sports, that was quite an accomplishment.
I had the opportunity, I coached several things, but softball was one of the things I was the head coach of. So for me, the first milestone I remember is our first conference championship, which we went on to win 6 back-to-back. We also won sectionals, and we won our first state championship, all while we had just started a fledgling program. All the programs, though, both boys and girls, got to have those milestones early on. If you take a look around the gym, all the conference banners, all those things started back with those first classes.
The girls really led New Egypt High School, I think, for at least the first few years, and then the softball team came on big. It wasn't until years later where the New Egypt boys basketball team ended up having some success in the state. But early on, it was all the girls all the time. They really led us and put our best foot forward.
The first thing I was impressed with was the level of success that we had early on. You know, when you just talk about starting a school and starting from nothing, you know, primarily it was the success of the field hockey team, the softball team, and those sectional championships were the kind of the first big hurdle that we had, and then the overall group championships were amazing, and those are the things that really stood out early on. You know, those two programs, just how they jumped to the forefront of, you know, female sports in the state, it was really impressive.
So these coaches now are building upon the past. They're talking to the kids about their history and about what was and what they can be. And you know what I like, and I heard Coach Fentz talk about it in one of his speeches before a football game, is the past is great to look at, and it's great to remember that and to build off that, but you need to be better. You know, and I think that's what our coaches and our kids do, is they look at the past and they appreciate it and respect it, but they want to be better than that.
Burlington City in basketball, that to me was a holy crap moment. Like, that's a team that we didn't beat for 5 years and didn't come within 50 in some of the games. And when we finally beat them here in overtime with Rocco Natalicio banking a 3-point shot, it was a younger kid, and it was great to see a kid that we had known, you know, since this big, and a kid that comes through the rec programs and had been in our games. When we beat Burlington City the first time, I said, yeah, holy, you know, you would have told us that 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I told you we would have been here for 20 years and would never beat them.
I think winning some big football games early on against some of those same teams, beating Florence for the first time was big. I think in soccer, winning a sectional championship was a big point in the male athletics.
It was really an amazing year. We knew we were going to be good. We went to the sectional final the year before, and we were the first boys sport to really win a sectional championship. But when we got through that and that final whistle blew, it was pandemonium. All the kids that were there to watch, hundreds of students came running on the field, and everyone was hugging and crying and smiling, and parents were hugging and crying and smiling, and coaches were hugging and crying and smiling, and it was just an unbelievable feeling. The great part about it was who I was able to share it with. I loved that team. I loved every kid on that team. My brother was an assistant coach on that team. Glenn Knigge was with me for years. Matt Carroll, who played for me and was a volunteer assistant and is now doing such a wonderful job with the program as the head coach, was with us to kind of see what it felt like and kind of what we needed to do in order to build something like that. So to finally get that sectional championship and be able to put that banner up on that back wall in that gym was super important for us. I really do think that it had a positive impact on our male athletic program, especially because our females have been extremely successful before that. They've won sectionals, they've won state championships. So for the boys to finally get a taste of that and see that it was possible at this school, I think was kind of a watershed moment for us.
To watch the participation of kids in multiple levels, that was a high point for me always, because I saw kids who were willing to sacrifice not being a star just to help the team in another sport, because there wasn't so much the idea of what was in it for me. It was, how do I help my friends and play with my friends.
Obviously, seeing the turnout from the community for football games was something that was kind of cool. It was like that Friday Night Lights feel of you don't know what you're going to get because it is a young school, and just to see the amount of support that we had and that pride, that was really the start of those types of things, and to see it build from there. And then we had our first pep rally, and you just saw the bonfire, and you saw just how much pride everybody had.
There was no falling through the cracks. We knew these kids intimately. We knew who they were. We knew where they lived. We knew their parents, and there was no such thing as sloughing off or anything else. The demand from the teachers was high. What we tried to instill on every one of them was that it's not where you come from, it's where you want to go.
The amount of kids that you have, well, we changed it up with college prep and no academic, and the amount of kids you have in honors, but mostly what I see is the AP classes. I just know from, you know, the AP US that our kids, you know, do very well in there. I mean, since they redesigned that, I think I said it this morning, was we've had 64 kids take that exam and 56 pass it, which when we first started this school, I would tell you that would have been a very difficult number.
The academic programs in New Egypt have always been personalized, and we've now taken it to the next level with the Summit or the Warrior platform. We are able to individualize within our classes, not just to our students, you know, on a broad range of things that we offer, but in the classes that we offer, it's personalized down to where you are and where you need to go. The academies have now entered another level because we're up to 5 academies now, where the students who have a passion on a career path can really delve into that topic area, study extra classes in that. There's OCC opportunities involved with that, additional course offerings that are only available to them, and we plan to continue that even with more OCC accreditation and hopefully, you know, expand on what we've already started.
What we have changed is what we've gotten better at, I would say. Our academies are amazing. Our students are thriving in them. Today our challenges is what's changing in the world is changing in your schools. So academically we have to change, and we have. We're doing a beautiful job, and our kids are really ready for college.
What the high school is doing with those academies and the vision through Mr. North, Mr. Mendez, and the administration, the Board of Education, the vision on creating those has been incredible. Proud to say, you know, this current graduating class of the 8th grade graduating class, we had the most applications, over half of them, of this current 8th grade class applied for the numerous academies. And it's no secret or, you know, no surprise that most of, you know, the most ever accepted into those academies is coming from this current 8th grade class. So if we want statistics or just like a touch and feel of how well they've done, and those academies have done, and that vision, just point no further than this 8th grade class.
I teach driver's education, and in a town that has its own speedway, we've always been highly successful in the classroom here at New Egypt.
Now, we've had a rough year. There's no doubt about it. We lost a lot of money in state aid, and they're saying that could continue. People think it's the schools have to close. They don't. New Egypt will last as long as the people in town put that as a priority and say that they want their kids to play in that town and have that support. Because the one thing I can guarantee, and I've said from day one, the experience you get at a small high school, you cannot compare to what you get in a large high school. Large high school can offer you more courses maybe, but it doesn't give you the chance of the breadth of what you can do. You can do multiple things, have multiple opportunities, and again, it's what you take with you out of here.
So I'm an optimist. You know, I'm one that, you know, I kind of feel that New Egypt will survive, we'll persevere, we're going to keep on going.
I think what everybody has to realize related to the future and just to life in general is that everything is going to change, and we go through ups and downs, and we go through ebbs and flows. I think what we also all have to understand is when the foundation is right, when a house's foundation is right, it makes sure that everything else is strong. And what we have right here in this community, in every single school in this district, is a strong foundation. And again, administration and leadership, they come and go, you know, but what is indelibly always here is the spirit of this community, the families who have been here for decades, and obviously the students, whether you're in kindergarten all the way up, the inherent good in everybody. As for the future, we are definitely on an upward swing here. I can't wait for the next 20 years.
And it just wasn't that first one. I can go to a graduation. I missed this last graduation, unfortunately, but graduations that I've gone to, whether it be as a board member, as board president, committeeman now, That is a moment of pride. The first one up to the last one that we just had. It is a culmination of everything that everyone has done. It is the pride in the parents' eyes that they see the end product that this district has been able to provide to their young man or young woman. That is a point of pride.
We're still a small community, but the philosophy is still the same. We are the Warriors, and we are a family. Everybody has its challenges, but that's what makes us a family. We have to grow from those challenges and make what we have awesome, like we have the last 20 years. And the success is the students that we've put out, and I can't wait to see some of the successes that our future students are going to have.
There were so few of us at New Egypt High School. Even to this day, there are smaller class sizes, teachers and coaches. They can have a greater impact on a student, and therefore a greater impact on their future than any other public school or private school, I contend. That's what life is all about. It's all about giving back. It's all about being part of a community. And I think this New Egypt High School community is strong, and we started something here that we can be really, really proud of. And it means the world to all of us, and it's the only reason I think that most of us can claim any sort of success that we do.
You grow up in a small town. You can be burdened by how small it is, but you should really look at it as, holy cow, I can be the 16th best soccer player and still make it on the field. I can be the 10th best person in pep band and still make it on the field.
Teachers, I feel like you are really able to foster really good relationships with your teachers because it's so small. So I know that the teachers here have really shaped me to who I am today, so I always want to check back in with them as I kind of move on with my life.
The teachers here, they take care of their students. They are there to pretty much watch them grow into eventually something like I am, maybe a little bit better though.
I bought a house here so my kids could have the same experience as me. I didn't realize it then. You know, I played 3 sports in high school. I would have never been able to have that opportunity anywhere else.
Teachers bring me back because they were so instrumental in like pushing me onto the right career path, especially like the Palombos and the Corbys. They've been amazing mentors, teachers, and then now friends that I've graduated, and I love to spend my time with them and like share my moments as I grow up.
I think you're going to see education move where kids really have a chance to choosing to get deeper in areas that they like. And I think more of that's going to happen. I think it has to back down even into the middle school more, and where we have more things where kids get to do things and experience firsthand ideas that they think they might want to do, so they know where they want to go even in high school and what areas they might want to try. So I think that ideally I'd like to see, you know, the core areas get covered quicker. So maybe by the end of freshman year, sophomore year, you have your core subject areas and you have your established base, and allow kids really to start delving into what they want to do and have a better understanding sooner.
I think whether you're in kindergarten or all the way up to an 11th grade student or a 12th grade student, and wherever you are, you have to learn your history. I think it's important with videos such as this, or asking your parents questions and walking around the town. I think it's important to learn history. Because that history we should all be proud of. The people come and go, but what doesn't ever leave is the history of this high school. What never leaves is the history of this town. And you can give a kindergarten lesson on that, and you can give an 11th grade lesson on that. My advice would be to continue to learn the history of this place, because when you continue to learn that, you feel more and more pride every single day.
At golf, at baseball my freshman year.
Perfect.
not only in the middle of this battle, grabbed the yardstick, put it together using just a plastic knife, paper clips, and tape. An amazing feat, ladies and gentlemen. An amazing feat. I'm proud to know that man. He's going to do great things.
So right now, we're going to do we have a panel discussion, quick question and answer session. Mr. Corby, to my left, is going to moderate that, but I'd like to invite up Mrs. Prismalkowski, come on up, Alex Pavljuk, Dr. Gerald Ware, who came back, former superintendent, and Mr. Jerry North, current superintendent. So, Mr. Corby, I believe we had 2 questions from the crowd. What's the first, sir? You on?
Testing. Testing. Romano? Here we go.
You're on.
Same sound system we've had for 20 years here. All right. So our questions from the crowd. First one is for Alex. First of all, Alex, thank you very much for having everybody come back here. Great memories tonight. Great to see everybody's faces again. Thank you for doing that, Alex.
Thank you all for coming.
All right. What was the most interesting fact that you learned while putting together this documentary?
All right, so I think there's definitely a lot of really interesting things that kind of unfolded during all of this. And for me, there's so many that kind of come to mind, but in all honesty, the idea that the first class, they didn't actually start their freshman year in this building. They were in what is now the middle school. And so the idea that it was in one hallway and the building wasn't even fully completed yet is a crazy concept that I could never imagine. So a testament to them for sticking it out and eventually making it here for graduation. So that, to me, is one of the coolest things that not really anyone knows.
All right, thank you, Alex. That was a great answer. Still make them smart here in New Egypt, like the other Corby brother. All right, this one is for Mr. North here. Mr. North, you have been a major part of this district for the last 20 years. What is your favorite memory from that time frame?
Well, actually, Alex asked me this afternoon. We were just talking about this as we were putting it together. And I said, there's a variety of things that come together when you say your favorite memory. Obviously, one of them is to see the fruition of the first year go through and then see it build upon each other and watch the kids come back. We've been very, very fortunate that we've had kids come back and give us good feedback about their experiences, and I think that has helped us improve amazingly over the years. The other piece that I've really taken pride in is the people that we hired to put this place together. How many of them have been here for a long, long time? And I think consistency is probably the real secret to success. And the fact that we've had great teachers here spend a lot of time. The kids of now 20 years have benefited for this, and that to me is probably the highlight, is the people that I've got to meet and deal with, and the parents and families that we've had here.
All right, great. I agree. Seeing a lot of the students come back is just an unbelievable feeling. Except for Matt Carroll, but we still love it. Thanks, bro. All right.
Any other questions?
Is there any questions from the crowd? Anything that you would like our unbelievable panel here to answer for you tonight? Anybody would like to ask any questions? Anybody? Right here we go. And what's your name? Avery. Okay, Avery. What's your question? Want to stand up? All right, let's give a round of applause for Avery. All right, Avery, you got to speak a little bit louder into this microphone. It's from 1999.
How long has Mr. North been the superintendent?
How long have you been the super? Since Mr. Ware finally said, I'm out of this place. Mr. North, how long have you been superintendent of our school district?
I was superintendent from 2005 to 2007 and from 2016 to now. I was the principal from 1998 to 2005.
All right, great. Now, what years did Rich Carroll have black hair? There's a couple, right?
He always did here. It's when he went to the other place, the pressure came on.
All right, any other questions from the crowd here?
Mr. Corby, I'd like to have Dr. Ware give a little perspective on the whole thing and starting out, because I think he has a perspective that a lot of people who have moved to town in the last 20 years may not understand. I think it's important to get a perspective like this.
Thank you very much. Yes, I do appreciate the opportunity. I was here as superintendent for 17 years, and I was the principal for 3 years prior to that at the elementary school. And I do want to say that there are a couple of important facts to remember. First, I'd like to ask, I know I'm asking your indulgence, but could I ask any of the past board members and past administrators or teachers, I saw Tom McMahon, I saw Pam, I saw, let's see, Karen, who else? Could you please stand up? Because these are the people that made this happen. them, and the board members were just so helpful in having things work. One of the best things I did was I was a K-8 superintendent, I was a K-8 teacher, I was a K-12 administrator, but not much. I really didn't have my background in secondary education. So when we decided we were going to build a high school, I said, I need somebody that's going to come in a year early, and I have to have somebody who not only is knowledgeable, but can make it happen. And I've got to say, one of the best things I ever did was select Jerry North to become our principal. And I will say, the only thing that he said that was really disturbing is while he was making the plans on what we were going to do to have programs there, and I said, well, listen, I know I'm not a secondary guy, but let me make this suggestion. And the only thing he did was he turned to me and he said, okay, boomer. And I will say that I do have New Egypt gear. I have lots of stuff. Doesn't fit anymore, but that's, I think you'll find that. But we have had such a great run, and I give you the credit because it was really our community, our staff, our Board of Education members. They put everything together so that we could go from literally at the bottom in academic performance in the county to fighting at the very top. And I cannot tell you how much pride I take when I see the academies that are going on here, and I see our students and the work they do. I am just so impressed, and from a very old-timer, congratulations and thank you.
So one last thing before we exit this auditorium. Alex, come on with me real quick. Mr. Armstrong was instrumental in giving you this token of our appreciation and as a memento for